I welcome you to this session of ISO 14001 2015, and today we are going to talk about clause number 4.3, determining the scope of the environment management system. So as usual, first of all, I'll read out the requirement to you as given in the standard. Clause 4.3, determining the scope of the environment management system. The organization shall determine the boundaries and applicability of the environment management system to establish its scope. When determining the scope, the organization shall, there are A, B, C, D, E, 5 points in this. A, the external and internal issues referred to in 4.1. B, the compliance obligations referred to in 4.2. C, its organizational units, functions, and physical boundaries. D, its activities, products, and services. And last point, E, its authority and ability to exercise control and influence. Once the scope is defined, all activities, products, and services of the organization within the scope need to be included in the environmental management system. The scope shall be maintained as documented information and be available to the interested parties. Well, that's all in this clause. This is a medium kind of clause, and let us now discuss it in more detail. The organization or the company has to determine the boundaries and applicability of the environment management system to establish its scope. That means for finding out the scope, we have to determine the boundaries and applicability of the EMS, Environment Management System. In short, we call it EMS, Environment Management System. And when determining this scope, the organization shall consider A, external and internal issues referred to in 4.1. In 4.1, we had discussed about the internal and external issues in the context of the organization. So those internal and external issues have got to be considered. The compliance obligations referred to in 4.2. Also the compliance obligations, that means what we are obliged to comply with. The regulatory aspects plus other issues which we decide to make as compliance obligation. So anything which the organization defines or determines that we shall comply with that. So those things plus the legal aspects. All legal aspects have got to be complied. So they are naturally our compliance obligations. But there are other requirements which we choose and we say these are also our compliance obligations. So the compliance obligations referred to in 4.2 have also to be considered when determining the scope. Now we come to C, its organizational units, functions, and physical boundaries. Wherever we say that the system is going to be applicable, it has got to be part of an organization. So we must understand which are the organizational units, functions, and what are the physical boundaries of the bigger organization where we are going to introduce this in a limited manner in some small way in some section, or we have to decide the boundaries. So the organizational units, functions and physical boundaries have got to be decided. Then we come to D, its activities, products and services. Wherever we want the system to be applicable, we have to identify the activities, products and services of that particular section or that particular department or that particular group or whatever it is within that bigger organization. And last point, E, is its authority and ability to exercise control and influence. The section where we want to introduce the environment management system in a limited manner. The person who is going to control that, it should be very clear, and he should have the authority and ability to exercise the control and influence that is necessary to run any organization. So these are the things which we have to keep in mind. And once the scope is defined, all the activities, products and services of the organization within that scope need to be included in the environmental management system. Then we have to prepare an environment management system for the section which we are proposing, that we are going to introduce environment management in this particular section. So there we have to organize things and prepare the environment management system, keeping in view the products and services being produced in that particular section, the people working in that section, and the activities, products and services of that particular section. The scope shall be maintained as documented information and be available to the interested parties. This is the last sentence of this particular requirement. So the scope of the environment management system has got to be documented in black and white, and we are supposed to be giving out copies of this scope to the interested parties. Any party which is having an interest in the organization is an interested party, and anybody demanding the scope, any interested party demanding the scope of the environment management system as is going to be applicable to the environment, to that particular section, that scope is supposed to be handed over to the interested parties. So I hope you are clear about this determining the scope of the environment management system. Well, it can be any section of a bigger organization. You have understood that. And it must have independent control. That means somebody to control that part of the organization, having an independent charge of that particular section. And then we have to decide the various aspects which we have discussed just now, and we can have a relook at what we have to do. The external and internal issues referred to in 4.1, they need to be taken into account, and the compliance obligation referred to in 4.2, they have also to be taken into account, and the organizational units, functions and physical boundaries, that particular place where we are going to introduce the environment management system may be part of a bigger organization, but its physical boundaries may be different and may be limited. So we have to define that particular scope, that the boundaries of that particular organization are like this. So we have to define the boundaries of that particular section where we are going to introduce the environment management system. So, and D, it's activities, products and services. Whatever we are producing in that particular section, we are supposed to define very clearly activities, products and services. All these three things have got to be defined very clearly for that particular section where we are going to introduce the environment management system, and it is going to be part of a bigger organization but independently managed. The authority managing that will have full control over the activities of that particular section where we are going to introduce the environment management system. So its authority and ability to exercise control and influence has got to be very clearly defined and available. And once the scope is defined, all activities, products and services of the organization within that scope need to be included in the environment management system. So we have to ensure that we are including everything that we have spelled out in the system. The scope shall be maintained as documented information and be available to the interested parties. The scope of the environment system, as we have documented, we have to maintain records, and this scope has to be given to the interested parties, to all the interested parties who are interested in our that part of the organization where we are going to introduce the environment management system. So, friends, I hope you have understood the requirement fully and completely. But by any chance, if there is anything which is not clear to you, please put your comment below this video and I try to explain to you once again. And if you are liking my videos, please give me a thumbs up, give me a like, and also share my videos with your friends and colleagues who are also engaged in the similar activity of preparing and implementing an environment management system, so that they may also get benefited by whatever discussions are taking place, whatever exchange of knowledge is happening between us. So thank you very much, and please do not forget to subscribe to my channel and also press the bell icon so that as and when I load my video, the information will reach you without any delay. And normally I am loading my videos on Sundays, so keep that in mind and be on the lookout 10 o'clock onwards. I normally load it at 10 o'clock in the morning. So hope everything is fine with you, and in the next session we are going to discuss clause number 4.4, environmental management system. So we shall be discussing on next Sunday this clause 4.4. So see you on next Sunday. Bye bye, and meet you on next Sunday again. Bye bye.